Hi, I'm Kay Mosier-McDivitt. I'm a technical assistant specialist with the Center for Capacity Building with the Alliance. Activity 1 is a review of the organization's policies and procedures, whether they brought it in a written copy, a hard copy, whether they have it downloaded on their laptop, or they have both. You want them to get it out. And there's some basic things that you want to put forth that they need to be looking at. First of all, are these policies and procedures specific to a best practice rapid rehousing program? We found that there were a number of organizations, particularly organizations that were providing emergency shelter or transitional housing, that rapid rehousing wasn't really part of their policies and procedures, or it was just a little section. And the whole focus of this was that you are becoming a rapid rehousing organization, and everything that you do should be focused on the rapid rehousing approach. And so you want to look at your entire policies, procedures with that lens of, are we housing focused, and are we focused on what we need to do for best practices for rapid rehousing? So again, you may want to have some materials on the outcomes they should be looking at, or some of the materials that you reviewed in the first session, and have some actual hard copies of those materials that you can give to them that they can refer back to as they look in their policies and procedures. Because best practices for rapid rehousing is that service participation is voluntary, that is one area you really want them to be looking at their policies and procedures. Are they requiring that people do certain things before they are rapidly rehoused, or in order to continue to be in the rapid rehousing program? So that's an overarching theme that you want them to look at all of their policies and procedures from. Is this a voluntary approach? And then the other area that you really want them to look at their policies and procedures is eligibility, because ultimately all that a family needs to do to be eligible for rapid rehousing is that they need to be literally homeless, i.e. living in an emergency shelter or in a place not meant for human habitation. And they need assistance in finding housing. That rapid rehousing should not be about housing folks that can find housing on their own, that have low barriers, but rather really should be focused and targeted to those that actually have the barriers. And so as you look through your policies and procedures, are there places where it's feeling like this is not an inclusive program, and have them keep an eye on those kinds of things. So a couple of questions that we would encourage you to use that you can see on these slides that you want them to be thinking about is, number one, do our eligibility standards screen people out of the program, or are they screening people in? These are inclusive programs. You should be screening people into your programs. And then who makes a decision about who can be served? Is there a specific decision-making process? Is it a pretty subjective decision-making process? Because again, you want to have some real clear delineation, and the organizations should be really looking at how do they determine who is in the program and who's that decision left up to. And one of the things that we discovered for a lot of times is that eligibility could be very subjective. It wasn't really clear about what the decision was about why this particular family was not accepted into a rapid rehousing program, and policies and procedures were not clear about that. So you want to just make sure that, again, you give them some particular information, again, on handouts, or put them up in the slides. And that's a way that you continue to be engaged as a facilitator, is that you have them look at some stuff and have some conversation, and then maybe after 15 or 20 minutes you pop up a slide and say, while you're looking at this, here's one of the things you want to be looking at is, what does your policy say about eligibility, and what are your procedures for screening people in and out of your program for eligibility? And in having those questions up there, it gives them some specific ways that they can look at their policies and procedures. So the goal of this exercise is not that during the session they're going to have time to go through their entire policies and procedures and do all the revisions and all the things necessary, but you want to give them an amount of time to review their policies and procedures and start looking at specific sections that they know they want to review, or maybe they can highlight or put a post-it note, or in the computer type in a note or a comment like, this is an area we need to refocus on. Part of this is then coming out of this session is that there's going to be a lot of work for them moving forward. Participation in the Learning Collaborative is not just about coming to the sessions. One of the things that teams are asked to do is that they're going to continue their work on all of the goals that they set forth at session 1, between the first session and the second session. So that is one of the themes that you want to keep repeating as you go through this is just to get started, and then identify what you need to do when you get back to your organization.